Bhaktivedanta Jnanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Gadave Krishnaya Krishnabhaktāya Tadbhaktāya Namo Namaha Vandeyam Shri Guru Param Shri Rupanam Pravanam Ajras Sasikam Charanarayanam Tampapanam Shri Guru Charanam Vande Om Prasthaya Bhutale Rupanam Bhaktivedanta Charanam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Shiva Bhaktivedanta Jai Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasagna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. So first of all I offer my Shastanga Pranams at the Lotus feet of our spiritual masters. Lai Shri Bhaktivedanta Shri Narayan Goswami Maharaj Brihad Lai Shri Bhaktivedanta Shri Ram Goswami Maharaj Brihad and Dad Rupanukari of the world and all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas present. So today is a very auspicious tithi, the appearance day of Shri Vansi Vadrananda Thakur Shyamananda Prabhu and one disciple of Prabhupada. His name is Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj. And also today is the appearance day of Sri Hanuman, very foremost of Sri Ramchandra's associates. And also today is Baladev Prabhu's Rasyata. So we'll read from Bhagavatamrita regarding how Baladev Prabhu, why he came to Braj. Because we hear for these 2 months he was in Vrindavan and there he enacted this pastime of the Ras Leela with the gopis. So then here many questions arise. That did Baladev dance with Krishna's gopis, or why did he have to dance with the gopis in the first place? So many such questions arise. So here we see, normally it is said that generally it is assumed that Krishna, Baladev Prabhu, he had his own set of gopis. He had his own group of gopis. This is the general understanding. And then Krishna has his own gopis. So then Baladev, he did not dance with Krishna's gopis, but rather he danced with his own group of gopis. This is the general understanding. But still we see, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he has said that this is only given to satisfy people, to convince people. But actually, Baladev Prabhu, he did not specifically take part in the Ras Leela. It is said that when he went there with the gopis, when he went there in their presence, he told them that just as Krishna appeared amongst all of you, when all of you did kirtan, sang this Gopi Geet, similarly now as well, all of you do kirtan together. And then Krishna will appear again. So he had all the gopis sing and dance and glorify Krishna. And then what happened? Krishna himself appeared from Baladev Prabhu and he engaged in this Ras Leela with all the gopis. So it was not specifically Baladev Prabhu, because Baladev Prabhu, he is Ashraya Tattva and Krishna is Vishaya Tattva. So we know that Baladev Prabhu, he serves Krishna in so many different forms. He serves him as his elder brother, he serves him as the Dham, because you see the Dham is a non-different manifestation of Baladev, this Dham Swarup. He serves Krishna as his bed, as his slippers, as his umbrella, as his shoes, as his Brahmanical thread, everything. He serves Krishna in every aspect. As every leaf, every creeper in Vrindavan is a manifestation of Baladev Prabhu. So where is the question of him being the enjoyer, Vishaya Vastu? Rather he is Ashraya. He is Ashraya Bhagavan. So Krishna himself manifests from him. And he takes part in this last Leela. So we'll read about him. We'll read about this Leela, how he came to Vrindavan, like a little later. But now we'll read about this disciple of Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, who he was. So we'll read from what Bhakti Maharaj has said about him. So his name, here it said, his pranam mantra is Namam Vishnu Padaya Gaur Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Iti Namine. So he was born on this same day as Krishna, as Baladev Prabhu's Vasantaras. And today is also Krishna's Vasantiras. So see, today is also Baladev Prabhu's Rasyatra with the gopis, and it's also the same tithi as Krishna's Raslila with the gopis. So that many tithis coinciding today. So he appeared on this day in West Bengal on this Vishnu Chakri Purnima. And his father's name was Shri Fatik Chandra Dasadikari, and his mother was Giri Bala Devi, and he appeared as their son. So when he was only 5 years old, he had the darshan of Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur in his dreams. You see here, he was only 5 years old, and Prabhupada appeared to him in his dreams, and he blessed him. So then, this was in 1909, and then in 1913, he went to visit Prabhupada. In 1923, he went to visit Prabhupada along with his father. And then, when he was only 7 years old, Prabhupada, he gave him this Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam. He said, actually when he was in school, there was a quiz, there was a competition. So he won this competition, and as a prize, he got this Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita. So this was the prize he got. Like we see, even when Gurudev, when he was in school, then he was also in a Sanskrit competition. Means you'd have to recite as many Sanskrit verses as he could remember. So then Gurudev recited so many Sanskrit shlokas. And then as a prize, he got this book on the life of Nimbaditya, on Nimbarkacharya. He got this book. And then Gurudev, he was gradually drawn to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. He read about the life of Nimbaditya, and then when he was in school, like in the 8th or 9th standard, then he read about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in one of the history books. So since then he became attracted to the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly here, he received these two books, the Gita and Bhagavat, as a prize. Then he was a very brilliant student. And then, because he was so brilliant in his studies, he would be promoted like 2-3 classes ahead. Like he'd be studying in 5th grade, and rather being promoted to the 6th grade, he'd be promoted to the 8th grade in this way. But then he was thinking, what is the use of this material education? He was thinking, there's no use here. No, I'm like, they're promoting me, they're giving me good marks, but ultimately he had no interest in this. Because our Guru Varga, they have nothing to do with Chadavidya. Because the education that is imparted nowadays in school, what value does it have? It has no value. No. Like even when Swami Maharaj, he would visit all these universities in the West, which were very, like, if you see now, they are very much respected. Like there's this one university called MIT. You heard of that? That university, even now, everyone says, oh, such a great university. Even devotees are trying so much to get into that university. And when Swami Maharaj went there, then he said, you have so many different departments. Departments for civil engineering, then architecture, computer engineering, electrical, electronics. He said, all right, you have all these departments, but where is the department of the soul? He said, where is that department? He said, you have all these different things, but where is the very, if there is no soul, the body has no value. And you are doing so many things for the body, but where is that department for the soul? He asked. Then he said, if you don't have this, if you're not laying any stress to this Atma Vidya, to this knowledge concerning the soul, then all your knowledge is like zero. He said. It has no value whatsoever. Here also, like Prabhupada, when he was studying in this Calcutta University, this Calcutta University was a huge university during the British rule. It said that the jurisdiction of this university extended all the way from Calcutta to Pakistan, and then to Burma in the east, to Pakistan in the west and Burma in the east. So it went past Bangladesh, Myanmar, Burma, even Sri Lanka. See the jurisdiction of this university. It went everywhere. It like spanned over 5-6 countries. But still, when Prabhupada went to that university, he saw that the teachers, they had nothing to offer. The teachers would speak on Advaitva, monism. So he was thinking, these teachers, what do they know? They have nothing to offer to me, then what is the use of me learning from them? And he was so brilliant that there was one person called Ashutosh Mukherjee, who was the Vice Chancellor of the university. So he told Prabhupada that I'll give you this post of the head of department of astronomy, because you're so brilliant, because you're so proficient in this book, Surya Siddhanta. So Surya Siddhanta is a book on astrology. So he told Prabhupada, since you're so brilliant in this, steeped in these teachings of the book, I'll give you this title, this post. And Prabhupada said, no, I have not come to this world to count the stars in the sky, he said. Nor have I come to count the grains of sand. He said, I have come to preach Hari Bhakti. And then Ashutosh Mukherjee said, all right, as long as you're alive, as long as you're physically present in this world, this chair, this post is reserved for you, he said, and not for anyone else. So he kept that post reserved for Prabhupada until 1937, for like more than 20-25 years, maybe 30 years. Because Prabhupada, he disappeared on the 1st of January, 1937. So until then he kept that post reserved for him. He didn't give it to anyone. But still Prabhupada, he gave that up easily. Like even Param Gurudev, when he went to university, there was a course on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. No, there was a course there. So the teachers would speak on the Leelas of Mahaprabhu. So then there was one verse which perplexed the teachers very much, which confused them. What was that? Jiver Sarupoi Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnera Tathashta Shakti Beda Beda Prakash. There in Kaviraj Goswami, he said that the Jiva is a manifestation of Krishna, simultaneously one and different from him. So then the teachers who were explaining this verse, they were very much confused. They were thinking, how can the Jivas be one with Krishna and non-different from him at the same time? How can we reconcile? Because either the Jiva is one with Krishna or is entirely different from Krishna. There are two considerations. But here they're saying it's simultaneously one and non-different. This we cannot reconcile. They have this doubt in their hearts. So then Param Gurudev, he explained to them that how the Jiva is like a ray of the sun and Krishna is like the sun itself. So if you see, the ray of the sun has all the qualities of the sun itself. Like a ray gives out light, it emits light. Similarly, the rays of the sun also emit light. Like in this room, now we see the rays of the sun. So similarly, the Jiva also has all the qualities of Bhagavan, but to a minute degree, to a very small degree, infinitesimal degree. And Krishna, he possesses all these qualities to an infinite degree, inconceivable degree. But nonetheless, the qualities of Krishna are also present in the qualities of the Jiva. So in this way, they are one. And how are they different? The Jiva is very minute and Krishna is Brihad, very big. So in this way. So then when Param Gurudev spoke this explanation to the teachers were so inspired by him. Just see, he's a student. He's only 16 years old, 15 years old, and he's giving us such deep explanations. So then they very much appreciated his answer. But still, in his heart, Param Gurudev was thinking, what do these teachers know? I am teaching them. They should be teaching me, but I am teaching them. What is the use of that? What is the use of being under their guidance? So then he left college. So in this way, Maharaj also, he was also thinking that they are promoting me 2-3 classes, but still, where is this Atma Vidya? Where is this knowledge concerning Krishna Bhakti? Where will I get this knowledge? So So then, when he was a small boy, he was also a very beautiful poet. He would write very nice poems. Because we see one quality of a Vaishnava is that he's a great poet. Means he writes many kinds of literature. Like you see, Bhakti-Rakshak Maharaj has written so many ashtakams in glorification of Bhaktivinoda, in glorification of Prabhupada, in glorification of Jagannath Das Babaji, Gauraksha Das Babaji, Mahaprabhu. And he wrote this Prabhupada Padmastava that we sing every day. This Sujanarudharadita Pada Yuvam. And Bhakti-Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj wrote this and showed it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada was so happy with him. He said, from now this should be sung every day in all the temples, he said. This song that you have composed for me. And then that song was, to this day, sung in all the Gaudiya Maths. Not just by the disciples of Sridhar Maharaj, not just in his month, but in our month as well, in Bhakti Daik Madhav Maharaj's month, Bhakti Sarvam Goswami Maharaj's month. Everywhere this kirtan is sung, because Prabhupada appreciated his poetic genius so much. So this is a natural quality for the devotees, because what does a poem signify? It signifies the outpouring of their hearts, the longing in their hearts. These moods of meeting and separation that are always swelling in their hearts, like waves seen of the ocean. That outpouring takes the form of poems, as kirtans. And if you sing those kirtans that they have written, while following in their footsteps, then you will see that the same realizations that are expressed in those poems will also be transmitted into your heart. The same realizations. Why do we sing all these kirtans? Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Thakur, Premanand Thakur, Govindas Kaviraj. What is the need? No. Because by singing these kirtans again and again with a sincere attitude, then that particular Vaishnava, his realization, his service, his mood, all those things will also enter our hearts. And we can hope to follow in his footsteps and serve Mahaprabhu. And Radha and Krishna the same way. So Pujabhat Maharaj, he was also like this. Very good poet. So then, sometimes he'd be very restless, even when he was a young boy. And he would say, I want to see Prabhupada, I want to see him. Because remember, he was only 5 years old when he had the darshan of Prabhupada. So only 5 years old. So saying, how can I have the darshan of Prabhupada? And immediately he'd go. So then, even though he's a small boy, even then he would follow all these vratas very strictly. Like Ekadashi, Dwadashi, Janmashtami, all these vratas. Because we hear during Prabhupada's time, they would follow Ekadashi for 3 days, not just 1 day. Normally we follow for 1 day, but during Prabhupada's time, his disciples, 1 day before Ekadashi, on Dashami, they would eat only fruits. And then on the next day on Ekadashi, they would do Nirjala. And then after the day after that, on Dwadashi, they would take a little water to break the fast. And then they would take again a little fruits. So 3 days they followed Ekadashi. Like we see, Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, he followed Ekadashi until he was 100 years old. He left this world when he was 101 years old. And until the day he left, he followed Ekadashi. Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. Exactly like how he did during Prabhupada's time. Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. He was a very strict follower of Prabhupada. In Maryada, in discipline, everything. It said that Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, even when he would pass urine, he would squat and he would pass. Because normally it is said that when you are passing urine, you should not be standing. You should squat on your knees. And then, this is like Vedic custom. So even when he was like 100 years old, he wouldn't stand. He would squat on his knees and pass. Because he said this is stated in the scriptures. Because it said if you're standing and passing urine, it's like passing in the mouth of your ancestors or something. There's some rule like that in the scriptures. There's something like that. So therefore he would squat on his knees and he would pass. No? In your father's mouth. Oh, you heard that before also. You're passing in your father's mouth. Oh, so you see here how he was. So strict. Even Gurudev also, when Gurudev was like very sick in his final pastimes, then they requested Gurudev also, his sevaks, that, oh Maharaj, you followed Ekadashi your whole life. So now maybe you can relax some of these rules. Means you can maybe take some solid food because now you're so sick. So to have your health improve, you'll have to take something like, you'll have to follow a healthy diet. Gurudev said, no, I'm following Ekadashi. If all the others are following, then why can't I as well? He followed Ekadashi also. So I said Maharaj also was like this, very strict in his adherence to following all these vratas, following dharma. Sometimes you have to carry huge baskets of coconuts on his head. And he'd have to carry these huge basket of coconuts and he'd bring it to the Mayapur, to Prabhupada's hut. Because the brahmacharis, they would be so tired working the whole day, the whole night, in serving. So then they needed to refresh themselves. So what would he do? He would carry this basket of coconuts on his head and he would walk all the way from Navadvip and go across the boat and walk all the way to Chaitanya Math. So Chaitanya Math is like 2-3 kilometers from the ghat where the boats reach. So from there he would walk for 3 kilometers on the head with all these coconuts on his head and he would offer them to Prabhupada this way. So then Prabhupada, he told all the Matvasis, just see, he's a small boy, he's not even like 13, 14 years old, he's doing so much. So he told all the Matvasis that you look after this boy. He told the brahmacharis, think of this boy as a younger brother. He has no one, he's left home, he's left his parents. And he's only 13 years old, 14 years old, he's serving here. So you look after this boy, like a younger brother. And then, Prabhupada, he was so happy with the service that when he was 19 years old, Prabhupada, he gave him Harinama Diksha. He was only 19. Normally at that time, if one would have to receive Harinama Diksha from Prabhupada, he'd have to wait for many years. Prabhupada did not give Diksha so easily. But here you see, because he was so sincere in his service, then he gave him this Harinama Diksha. And then his name became Seva Vilas Das Brahmachari. Means he who delights in Seva to Hari Guru Vaishnavas. Prabhupada was thinking, just see how attentive he is in serving Guru Vaishnavas. He would do all the services in the temple, like singing all the kirtans, Harikatha, and then even speak in English and Bengali. So everyone's hearts would melt listening to him. They would say, who is this boy? Teenager. Now when you're 19, you're still a teenager. This teenager just speaking such profound Harikatha, such deep Harikatha. And then we see that there was this one deity of Jagannath Mishra called Adoksaj Vasudev. So we know that when Bhaktivedanta Thakur discovered the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, there they found the Mridanga that Chand Kazi had broken. It was buried beneath. And also they found this deity of Jagannath Mishra. There was one particular deity that Jagannath Mishra worshipped. Who is Jagannath Mishra? The father of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this deity was called this Adoksaj Vigraha, the four-handed form of Vishnu. So he used to worship this deity, and this deity was also found beneath when they were digging up the land for the foundation of the temple. So then the service of this deity was also established in the temple. So here, for Maharaj, the service of this deity was life and soul. Prabhupada, he gave him this seva, that you look after this deity, offer bhoga, do abhishek, do archan, and all these things. So then, after Prabhupada left this world, then he was the in charge of Sri Chaitanya Math. And then he went preaching all around India. And then in 1940, he received sannyas from Pujyavat Bhaktivedanta Shauti Goswami Maharaj. And then he was known as Srimad Bhaktivilas Bharti Goswami Maharaj. So Bhaktivedanta Shauti Maharaj is a very senior disciple, sannyas disciple of Prabhupada. Also very bosom friend of Param Gurudev. If you read the Bhagavatamritas, the old ones published in the 50s and 60s, 1950s, 1960s, you can see Shauti Maharaj has written so many articles in Hindi. He was Gurudev's beloved Siksha Guru. Like I was reading this article of his, the recent one I'm reading. There he's given a summary of all the Upanishads. He has summarized all the Upanishads and he has written like like a series of articles. It was so beautiful. Like the one I'm reading now, he has summarized this Prashnopanishad. This Prashnopanishad means all the rishis, they're asking one very realized personality, many questions. And then in another article, he has summarized Mundakopanishad. In another article, he has summarized Chandogya Upanishad. In another article, he has summarized the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. All these Upanishads, he has summarized them because the Upanishads are very difficult to understand. They're not easy. They're all very darshnik, very philosophical. So he has summarized all of them so beautifully. He has also given the essence of the Gita. So he is a very learned Vaishnava. So he took sannyas from him, Bhaktivedanta Shanti Maharaj. And then he would himself collect whatever funds were needed, and then he would publish books. So I have seen some of his books as well. Right? He has summarized all the teachings of Mahaprabhu, the life of Mahaprabhu. He has summarized the Bhagavatam, he has summarized the Ramayana, and he's published so many books in Bengali as well.
English also?
No, in English, no, he is not English. Only in these languages. So then, he also established temples in Bhubaneswar, Jagannath Puri, Kolkata. And then he was thinking that I want to spend the last part of my life in Mayapur. So then as soon as you enter Mayapur, you'll see his temple. As soon as you enter inside, his temple is on the left. Very beautiful temple. As soon as you enter inside, you can see his samadhi there also. I met one of his disciples once, very sweet disciple. I would always go to his temple. When I was in Navadip, like whenever I would visit Mayapur, I would go to his temple. So there, one day, he had a dream. So the name of his temple is called Rupanuga Bhajanashram. So then, one day, Radha and Krishna themselves appeared to him in a dream. And they said, now kindly install us here in a deity form and continue your service. So then, he would himself collect wood from here and there. And then he would only use the water of the Ganga. And then he would use these pots that were made from the mud of the Ganga. Because Prabhupada, he had specifically instructed his disciples that whatever vegetables are grown in the dham, use only those vegetables to cook sabjis and to offer to Mahaprabhu. Whatever rice is grown in the dham, use that same rice to offer to Mahaprabhu. Because Mahaprabhu is very fond of those things that are grown in the dham. So then Maharaj, even though he was so old, still he himself, he didn't have many disciples. He himself would go collect all these vegetables, he would collect dry wood, and he would only use the water from the Ganga to cook. No, he wouldn't use any filter water, nothing. He'd just go to the Ganga, take a pot of water on his shoulders, bring it to the temple, and use that water to wash the rice, and to cook the rice and sabji, and everything else. And then he would offer to Mahaprabhu. And then he would only take prasad once, that's all. And then he told his godbrothers that now I'm going to leave my body on such and such day. And after he told his godbrothers, he had a meeting, and then he told his godbrothers that if I enter into Samadhi, then kindly put me in Samadhi. And then he entered into Samadhi in 1995. At evening, 4:45, he entered into Samadhi there. So let's see what Pujana Bhakti Maharaj. See, this is his deity. A very beautiful deity. And you can see his pictures here as well. See, this is his picture. You see, these disciples of Prabhupada, they had nothing. They had no money, they had no resources, they had nothing. But still, the only thing they possessed was Guru Nishtha. Was their Nishtha in their service to their spiritual master. And because of this very Nishtha, you see how they preached everywhere. Because Prabhupada, he blessed them, although they had nothing. So here, let's see what is said. So today is the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Goswami Maharaj, a dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In the earlier years, Maharaj used to stay in Bhubaneswar, because in Bhubaneswar also, Prabhupada, he established a temple there called Tridandi Gaudiya Math. Because during Prabhupada's time, he established 64 temples all over India. Like recently, yesterday, I was speaking to one devotee. He visited this temple of Prabhupada in Delhi, in South Delhi, which is a very affluent area. It's a very luxurious place. There at that time, Prabhupada had established a temple. The same deities that he had installed by his own hands, one can have darshan. And if you see all these temples that Prabhupada had built, all these temples were built like in the most remote places of the city. So then some disciples would even ask him, saying, "Oh Prabhupada, they're building all these temples here when not many people are even residing. So maybe we can go to some other place where there are more people." And Prabhupada said, "No, you'll see in the future, so many people will come and stay here." And true to his word, every single temple that he built, later that became the center of the city. Every temple, every Gaudiya amount. Every place became right in the center there. Like in Chennai, in Kashi, Varanasi, in Mumbai, in Delhi, and in all these different places that the temples he built right in the city center. And people started coming now. Like even when Swami Maharaj, in Bhubaneswar, when he went there, then this temple, the land that was occupied, the land that was gotten for the temple, that was like in the forest. So some disciples of Swami Maharaj, they were saying, "Oh Prabhupada, no need to build temple here. Who's going to come here? It's the forest. Only dacoits and robbers live here. We'd rather go and build a place somewhere else. Find a nice place somewhere else and build a temple." Prabhupada said, "No. You'll see in the future, this place will become the city center. You'll see your own self." And like 5-6 years after the temple was built, that place became so famous. It's called Nayapalli. Even the highway is present there now. And anyone who goes to Bhubaneswar is bound to have darshan of this temple. Because that place is right on the highway. So Mr. Prabhupada also had this speciality of building temples right in the middle of the city. So then, Maharaj was staying in Bhubaneswar and then he moved to Jagannath Puri. And once he became very unwell and he was diagnosed with tuberculosis. So we know tuberculosis is a very severe ailment. If you don't, people can even die if this tuberculosis is not treated immediately. So one day he had this tuberculosis. On hearing of this, then Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj, he invited him to stay with him at Kolkata. Because Madhav Maharaj, he has so much love and affection for his god brothers. If any of his god brothers would be sick, he'd engage his own disciples in the service of his god brothers. He'd tell his disciples, "Go and serve my Guru Bhai." And he'd warn his disciples, "Don't think that there's any difference between them and me. Don't think that because I'm your spiritual master and they are not, that you should be complacent in your seva. That you may think, oh, why I serve them? They're not my spiritual master. Don't think this way. Think of them as not different from me." Madhav Maharaj would sternly give this warning, and he would send so many of his disciples to help them. Like Bhakti Sarvasya Giri Maharaj, when he fell sick, Madhav Maharaj personally had his disciples serve him. Bhakti Prakash Aranya Maharaj, when he fell sick, Madhav Maharaj had him serve. Even when Swami Maharaj also, Prabhupada, when he fell sick in Vrindavan, and Madhav Maharaj, he found out, then he engaged his disciples in his seva. So many of his god brothers. So then, here, Bharti Maharaj is saying that he had the opportunity to serve Maharaj at that time. And then he took him to an Ayurvedic physician who eventually cured him. So that doctor who cured Maharaj was a Srikanda Vasi, coming from the lineage of Mahaprabhu's devotees from Srikanda. So we know that in Srikanda, Raghunandan Thakur, his father Mukunda, they were all Ayurvedic physicians. In fact, Mukunda was an Ayurvedic physician for the Muslim king, this Nawab. So a descendant of that very family was also an Ayurvedic doctor. And he cured Maharaj of this ailment, this illness. So Srikanda Vasis were renowned doctors and had amazing ways to cure patients. Now, Mahaprabhu said those who are mercifully treated for their illnesses by the residents of Srikanda would be cured not only of their material disease, but of the disease of material existence as well. Bhavarog. See here. Mahaprabhu would say anyone who received medicine from their hands would not only be cured of this sansar, but he would also achieve prem. So then, Bhakti Maharaj later built a mutt in Mayapur called Rupanu Bhajanashram. He also participated in Brajmandal Parikrama, Navadip Dham Parikrama. So when he was constructing his temple in Mayapur, he wanted to locate his bhajan kutir on the front side, which was next to the main road. His reasoning was that way he could easily get darshan of devotees. So he wanted to build a temple right next to the street. What is that road called in Mayapur? It's called Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Road. That road leading up all the way to Mahaprabhu's birthplace from the Ghat in the Ganga that goes to ISKCON. That's called Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Road. So Maharaj, he said, I want to build a temple right next to this place so that I can see all these devotees. See here, he's such an advanced Vaishnava himself, and he has this desire in his heart that I wish to see all the devotees. Why? Because when they're walking on the streets, their foot dust will come and it will come and decorate my head, he said. Because Maharaj is such a senior Vaishnava, if he would go and ask someone for their foot dust, they would not give it. They would say, Maharaj, what are you saying? You're such a senior disciple of Prabhupada and you want us to give your foot dust. You know, you want to touch our feet. Never, they'd say. So I say, all right, if you don't want to give me, then I'll just sit here on the side of the road. And they said, naturally, all the dust that is like coming from the ground will come and cover my body. See how humble he was. Even in his old age, he was saying, I desire foot dust of the devotees. So then he started staying there. And day and night, he wrote many scriptures and he started printing them. He printed a lot of valuable books. He would serve the deities of the mud even in his old age. Even though he was so old, still he would do the archan himself, offering himself everything. And in this way his service always continued. So then he was seeing that Maharaj, he labored so hard to stop all those unwanted activities and disturbances in Mayapur. So there he was seeing in Mayapur many people that were selling meat. So he was thinking, what is this? This is Mahaprabhu's birthplace and all these people are selling meat. So he would go and warn them, don't do this. This is Mahaprabhu's dham. You don't have so much sense. They're selling meat here. Stop this, he would say. And if any materialistic people would come, he would warn them, don't speak Prajalpa to each other. Just speak Harikatha to each other, he would say. And then when people would come, they would bathe in the Ganga and they would do many bad things. Then Maharaj said, what are you doing? You've come here to enjoy the dham. Don't do this. Serve the dham. So there was one shop which used to sell chicken. So then Maharaj, he went and chastised the shopkeeper. That how can you sell chicken? How can you sell meat here? Even during Gurudev's time in Mathura, right beside the temple, there was one person who would sell eggs. And there would be very foul smell. You can imagine if you're boiling eggs and you're selling it. And the smell is so horrible. So then Gurudev went and requested this person that, hey, why are you selling eggs? The temple is right here. No, don't do this. Why are you disturbing the devotees? But that person would not listen. And Gurudev, he went and requested one person from the VHP. The VHP is like a Hindu organization. So then this person, he came and he warned that person very sternly, strictly. If you do something like this again, then we'll lock you up in the police station. So then that person, he stopped from selling eggs. So people are always like this now. They don't care. They even want to disturb the sadhus. They want to disturb the sadhus by selling so many things. Even wine right next to the temple, meat shops. But Maharaj, even though he was so old, he was very uncompromising. He had all these shops stop their business. So you see here, he filed a petition in the High Court to curtail such activities. He went to the Calcutta High Court and he said, please help me, stop all these people from Mayapur. Stop all these people from polluting Mayapur, he said. And then when the new restrictions were approved, all the tourists were barred entry to the sacred land of Mayapur 4-5 miles away from its boundary. So many tourists were coming in and they were basically doing many bad things in the dham. So Maharaj went to the High Court and he said, if they continue doing such nonsense, then you must make sure that they will not even enter inside the dham. They're not worthy of even having darshan of the dham. Such nonsense people. So then you see many of the tourists, they were stopped 4-5 miles from the boundary of Mayapur. And then he even sought assistance from the Delhi police. He said, please help me. And then he had a huge sign in the Navdeep railway station. As soon as one would get off the train, they would see a huge board there. And there it was written, by the order of the High Court, it is prohibited to have picnics from here onwards. So see there, Maharaj arranged that no one would enjoy the dham. So as soon as they would get out of the train, they would see that huge sign there saying, "Don't enjoy in the dham." And if anyone was suspected to be coming there for a picnic with vessels and other paraphernalia, they would be taken for interrogation by the police guard who was stationed there. See how strict he was. Police would be waiting outside the train and they would check everyone's bags and they would say, "Oh, do you have any pots, any things? You're going to cook meat there?" They'd say, "Come here," and they'd go interrogate them and even maybe arrest them. Such was his nishtha. He said, "As long as I live, I will not allow my Gurudev's holy land to be polluted by materialistic activities." See how he was. He said, "As long as I'm breathing, I'll make sure that Mayapur Dham will always be pure." Because Prabhupada began his preaching in Mayapur Dham. Mayapur is Mahaprabhu's birthplace. He was thinking, how can people eat meat, consume alcohol here? How can they enjoy here? He said, "I will never allow any of this." In this way, he served his Guru Maharaj's mission so much. So today is his appearance day. So I was thinking that since today is Baladev Prabhu's Rasa Yatra, we'll just read a little from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Because here, Sanatana Goswami, he has described why Baladev Prabhu came to Vrindavan in the first place. So here, let's read the backdrop. So then we know that once Krishna, he was very sick. He was just sleeping the whole time. So then the queens of Krishna, they went and complained. They said, "Why is Krishna not waking up? What is the reason?" So then Mother Rohini, who's the mother of Baladev Prabhu, she started explaining the reason that why Krishna is not waking up. So then here, let's read from here. Like we see when Narada Rishi, he went to all the different devotees wanting to know the glories of the Vrajvasis. So when he went to Ugrasen, he sent Narada to Uddhav. He told Narada Rishi, "You go to Uddhav." Uddhav is a very dear friend of Krishna. He will describe the glories of the Vrajvasis to you. And when Narada Rishi went to Uddhav, then Uddhav said, "Oh, I was with the Vrajvasis for 6 months. And I came and tried to convince Krishna to go to Vrindavan, but still he will not listen to me. Why does he not go?" No. So then Narada Rishi, he went to Krishna. And there, Krishna, he was pretending that he was sick. So then, hearing the words of Narada, Uddhav quickly arose and took the lotus foot dust of Narada on his lap and he embraced him. Understanding the intent of his heart, he began to cry out of anxiety. He recalled the devotees who received Krishna's topmost mercy and wealth of prema from such devotees. So Uddhava told Narada that, "Oh Narada Rishi, the Vrajvasis, they love Krishna so much. And Krishna also loves them. But still I cannot understand why he is not going to Vrindavan. I cannot reconcile in my heart. Because a person, he wants to stay in that place where he is loved the most. And Krishna, he is loved the most by the Vrajvasis. But still he does not want to go there. I cannot fathom, I cannot understand." So then, Krishna, he was listening to all these words that Uddhava was speaking. So then Uddhava, as he spoke about the Vrajvasis, he fell on the ground unconscious. Then anyhow, Baladev Prabhu, he held him on his lap and he made him stand. So then Narada Rishi, Uddhava began to speak. He said, "Oh Narada, oh best of the great sages, let me tell you something very confidential." He said, "After going to Braj, my ego as the most fortunate person has been shattered to pieces. Because Narada, if you see in the first volume of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he is visiting all the different devotees and he's glorifying them, saying, 'You are the best recipient of Krishna's mercy. You are. First he went to this Brahmin, and then he went to a king in South India, then he went to Indra, then he went to Brahma, then he went to Shiva, then he went to Prahlad, then he went to Hanuman, then he went to the Pandavas, then he went to the Dwarkavasis, then he went to Ugrasen." So he was glorifying each and every one of them, saying, "You are the best recipient of his mercy." And that devotee would say, "No, not me. Go to this person, such and such person." And he would be led to another person. So then when he was led to Uddhava by the Yaduvanshis, then Uddhava said, "Yes, I am the recipient of Krishna's mercy. I am his greatest recipient. But still, when I went to Vrindavan and there I saw the prema of the Vrajvasis, I realized that my prema is nothing in comparison to the Vrajvasis. It is like zero." No, because Uddhava, when he saw Nanda and Yashoda, he saw how Yashoda had become blind by crying in separation from Krishna. She had become blind. In fact, once, Yashoda Maya, she tied all the toys and clothes of Krishna in a bundle and she put it on her shoulders and she started walking out of Nandabhavan in the middle of the day when it was very hot. So then, as she was walking out with this huge bundle of toys and clothes of Krishna, then all the Vrajavasis, they started asking Mother Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, where are you going? Then she said, I'm going to Mathura. And they said, why are you going to Mathura? And she said, because I'm going to serve Devaki there. And what do you have in that bag? He's saying, I have all the toys of Krishna, the clothes of Krishna. Then, what will you do serving Devaki there? She said, I'll serve Devaki from morning to night. And if needed, 24 hours a day. And I'll only ask her for one thing. What is that one thing? That she lets me see her son. For a moment, for 1 second, she lets me have darshan of her son. See here, Yashoda is not even saying my son. She's saying that she lets me have darshan of her son. No. Because Yashoda, her heart is so selfless, she's thinking that if Devaki, if Krishna is happy by Devaki's service, then let him stay in Mathura. Then let her be his mother, if he is happy by her. But still I will serve Devaki the whole day and I only ask for this one blessing, that she allows me to see her for 1 moment. And as she spoke these words, she fell on the ground, unconscious. So Uddhava, he was seeing all these things. No? Like we see once even Krishna, when he had received his Upanayam, when he had received the sacred Brahman thread, then the custom is that after a person receives the sacred Brahman thread, he has his cloth, he has to take this cloth out, and he has to take bhiksha from everyone. People will give him something in his jewelry. He goes everywhere collecting bhiksha. So then previously, Mother Yashoda, she had told Krishna that when you receive this Brahman thread, I will fill your cloth with so many jewels and so many nice things. So when Krishna received this Brahman thread, he was going everywhere. He's saying, Mother, Mother, where are you? You promised me that day in Vrindavan, in Nandagaon, that you'll fill my cloth with so many jewels. But where are you now? I don't see you anywhere. And Devaki was thinking, what is he saying, this boy? So then whenever Krishna would go looking for Mother Yashoda, Devaki would be standing there with so many gifts to offer to her son. But then Krishna, he just look away. He'd not even look at Devaki. He'd just look away and he'd walk away. Then again she would stand there in that direction. And again she would give him something. But again she would walk away. So in this way, Krishna then looking for Mother Yashoda, calling out to her, he said, oh Mother, 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 and he fell on the ground. So you see here, on one side, Mother Yashoda in separation from her son Krishna, she is falling on the ground unconscious. And on the other side, Krishna is falling on the ground unconscious. So Uddhava was seeing all these things. Then he was thinking, oh, just see the prema of the Vrajavasis. Just see Nanda Baba. He doesn't realize that Krishna is God himself. He's only crying for Krishna, thinking he's only his son. Just see the gopis. They become mad in separation from Krishna. Radharani has not eaten anything. She has not even drank water since Krishna has left Vrindavan and gone to Mathura. So Uddhava was thinking, how can this be Prem? He was thinking. He was thinking, if Prem is like this, then Prem, one should be so happy. One should be weeping tears of joy. No, when one is relishing these waves of Prem. But here I see the Vrajavasis only weeping. Whole day, whole night, they are only weeping in separation. Now what is this? He could not reconcile. So then he left Vrindavan. He was thinking, how can I even stay in Vrindavan? If they're only weeping this whole time, weeping, crying and crying, then I'll also leave. He was thinking, I won't stay here any longer. So then he's saying, after I went to Vrindavan, my pride was shattered, that I was the greatest devotee of Krishna. I have come to know the wonderful sweetness of Krishna by that experience, his mercy, his affection, and the recipients of his mercy. So he's saying, now I realize the glories of Krishna's sweetness only by the mercy of the Vrajavasis. So then, blessed by the darshan of those Vrajavasis, I feel Bhagavan has shown his complete mercy on me by sending me to Braj. So Uddhava is saying that now that Krishna has sent me to Braj previously in Mathura, I feel that he has shown his complete mercy on me. Because one day Uddhava, he was standing in the palace and he saw that so much water was being showered from down. So Uddhava, he saw there was a clear sky. There were no clouds, nothing. So he was thinking, where is this water coming from? I don't see raining, I don't see any rain clouds, nothing. So then when he looked up, There he saw Krishna was standing on the roof and he was looking towards the north, because Vrindavan is in the north of Mathura, it's in the northern direction. So Krishna was looking in that direction of Vrindavan and he was weeping so much. So then Uddhava, he went and he caught hold of Krishna's hand and he said, "Oh Sakha," because Uddhava was like Krishna's very dear friend. So he said, "Oh friend, why are you weeping? What is the reason?" So then Krishna said, "Because I'm weeping in separation from the Brajavasis." He said, "When I think about all the Brajavasis, my mother, my father, my gopis, my friends, even my cows, my calves, even the calves are not drinking milk anymore from their mothers, because since I've left Braj, even the cows are not eating any grass. Even mother and father have left everything." So Krishna said, "Oh Uddhava, I have one request from you. You kindly go to Vrindavan and pacify all the Brajavasis." So then Uddhava was thinking, why should I leave Mathura? Because you are here in Mathura. How can I leave your association and go there? And Krishna, he told Uddhava, "Oh Uddhava, know that in Mathura I am only present as a part, as a fraction. But you will see, if you go to Vrindavan, you will see I am there in my most complete form. I am present there in total. Go there." So then Uddhava, he went there to Vrindavan. And when he went to Vrindavan, there he saw that actually Krishna was playing with all the Brajavasis. He was there with his friends, with the gopis, with his parents. Then Uddhava realized Krishna has not even left Vrindavan. He has not even left in the first place. Because Krishna himself has said, no, that Vrindavan Parityajya Palamekam na gacchati. He said, I don't take one single step out of Vrindavan. So where is the question of him leaving Vrindavan then and coming to Mathura? Where is that question? There is no question of him leaving. But then, as soon as Uddhava was thinking like this, that Krishna doesn't leave Vrindavan, then immediately that pastime became unmanifest. And then this other Leela became manifest. That of the Brajavasis feeling so much separation from Krishna. Then again he saw all the cows and calves were weeping for him. Mother Yashoda was weeping for him, Nanda Baba was weeping for him. So then Uddhava is saying, this way when I saw the prema of the Brajavasis, I realized that Krishna is bestowing his topmost mercy upon me. As soon as I went to Braj, I sunk in an ocean of bliss. Everyone knows how I have glorified the Brajavasis. Everyone knows this. Now, Uddhava himself has prayed, Vande Nanda Brajastrinam Bhadayanam Abhikshmasa Yasham Harikatot Gitam Punati Bhunatrayam. He said that these glorifications of the Brajavasis, the Vrajadevis, they can glorify all the three worlds. Ashaham Charanare Vishamham Shah. Vrindavanam Kimapi Kalmo Lato Shadinam. Uddhava said, may I be born as a shrub, as a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that I can receive a particle of dust. From whom? From one particular gopi. Who is that? Radharani herself. That I can receive a particle of dust from her lotus feet. He said. So in this way, Uddhava has glorified the Brajavasis so much. So then, when Uddhava was glorifying, that Rohini Devi, she was standing nearby. Who is Rohini? She is the mother of Baladev. Then Rohini, she was also weeping so much. And then Rohini said, oh Uddhava, be silent. Rohini chastised him. Be quiet. Don't speak. Without thinking of those Brajavasis, I was happy. Why are you reminding me of those Brajavasis? Rohini is saying that whenever I think about those Brajavasis, about the separation of those Brajavasis, I become miserable. I suffer so much. Because Rohini Devi herself is a Brajavasi. No, she herself, she spent so many of her years there in Braj. She's saying, why are you reminding me of the Brajavasis? Don't make my life miserable. She's saying, when you don't remind me of the trouble of those unfortunate Brajavasis who are sinking in an ocean of suffering, don't remind me of them. They're suffering there and you're reminding me of them. You remain silent. They're burning in this fire of separation, in this poison of separation. When Vasudev brought me to Braj, I heard of Yashoda's dreadful lament. At that time, even stones began to weep and thunderbolts shattered to pieces. So Rohini is saying that when I left Braj and went to Mathura, and when Krishna also left, that time I heard when my mother Yashoda was weeping, even the stones were melting. Even thunderbolt, even those millions of thunderbolts, they were shattered to pieces. You know, thunderbolts are very strong, they can even shatter mountains. But even these thunderbolts, they shattered to pieces. So who can explain in words whether the gopis are dead or alive? Now Rohini is saying, I don't even know if the gopis are alive anymore. I'm thinking they're dead. No. So Uddhav, after Krishna completed his studies and returned to Mathura from the hope of Sandipani Muni, I spoke to him about the Vrajavasis. So Mother Rohini is saying that when Krishna went to Ujjain and when he was trained in the Gurukul of Sandipani Muni and he came back to Mathura, I told Krishna, Krishna, go back to Braj. The Vrajavasis are suffering so much in separation from you. Why are you not going back? However, after hearing my words, Krishna's heart did not melt. Even after I spoke to him about this suffering, still his heart did not melt. And he did not go to Braj. And rather than he himself going to Braj, what did he do? He sent you to Braj. Uddhav, are you saying this is the mercy that Krishna showed to the Vrajavasis? He himself should have gone to Braj, but he did not go. What did he do? Rather, he sent you to Braj. So is this his mercy upon them? You are saying that Krishna is very much dear to the Vrajavasis. This is true. But other Vrajavasis dear to him? Mother Rohini is saying. Okay, alright. What they're saying is alright. That Vrajavasis they love Krishna more than even their own lives. But does Krishna love them in the same way? Can you say this? So don't think about what you're saying. So please hear what I have personally witnessed. When Krishna came to Braj, so many demons started causing so many troubles. So Mother Rohini is saying, before Krishna was born, the Vrajavasis were so happy. No demon ever came to Braj. As soon as Krishna was born, so many demons started appearing in Braj. And Krishna was only 3 days old. Putana came, Shakanasur came, Trinavarta came, Arishtasur came, Keshi came, Vyomasur, Vatsasur, Aghasur, Bakasur, Shankarchur. So many demons came and they started troubling the Vrajavasis. Like we see, why did Indra become so unhappy against the Vrajavasis? Because of Krishna. Krishna told the Vrajavasis, don't worship Indra, you worship Giriraj. And Indra, he showered so many thunderbolts, so much rain on the Vrajavasis. And Shankarchur, what did he do? He tried stealing the gopis away. So Mother Rohini is saying that even when Nanda Baba went to bathe in the Yamuna, what did Varun do? The god of the ocean. He kidnapped Nanda Baba just so he could see Krishna. And even the python tried swallowing Nanda Baba. The Vrajavasis didn't experience any kind of suffering before Krishna came. But after Krishna came, all these disturbances started happening one after another. And we see, sometimes due to the breaking, an old ox cart broke, means it was Shakarasur. And sometimes these twin Arjun trees, they fell on either side. But still, although all these inauspicious things were happening in Vrindavan, still not for a single moment did the Brajavasis ever think that all this is happening because of Krishna. Not for a single moment did they ever think. It is natural. No, they could have thought that this is all happening because of this Krishna, but they never thought like that. In fact, when all these things would happen, they would pray to Vishnu, they would pray to Bhagavan, they would pray to Shiv Thakur, oh kindly protect our dear son, Krishna. So Mother Rohini is saying this to Uddhav. So then the Vrajavasis, they are always enchanted by the sweetness of Krishna and they only desire his welfare. So although they are suffering so much, they only think about his welfare. Those Vrajavasis, by their natural loving prem, they offered everything for the happiness of Krishna. You see, Krishna, he resided in Braj for his own selfish interests. And now that all his selfish interests are complete, now what reason does he have to stay in Braj? So Rohini is telling Uddhav that he stayed there for some selfishness of his. And now he has no more use for the Vrajavasis. So he left Braj, he went to Mathura, now he's in Dwaraka, he never goes back. See how cruel-hearted Prabhu Krishna is. And after hearing these words of Rohini, then Padmavati, the mother of Kansa, spoke. So then Padmavati, she started chastising Rohini. Saying, oh Rohini, what are you saying? Those Vrajavasis are so heartless. What did they do? When Krishna was a small boy, the Vrajavasis, they made Krishna wander on the streets of Braj without even any shoes. He had to take these cows out to graze. He had to steal from the homes of other gopis. Because Yashoda could not feed him, he was stealing from the homes of other gopis. So they said, Padmavati, she started finding faults with the Vrajavasis. So then even the gopis used to shout at Krishna so much. And still Krishna, he tolerated. So Padmavati is telling Rohini that you are glorifying Vrajavasis, but I am saying the Vrajavasis is so cruel. They made Krishna work so hard. Whole day he'd be out in the forest looking after the cows. So, and he became so thin. He wouldn't even go out with an umbrella without any shoes. And you are saying that the Vrajavasis only look after him. But why wouldn't Krishna wear shoes? Why? Once Mother Yashoda, she told Krishna that you wear shoes, you take an umbrella out to the forest. But he said, if you also bring shoes for my 9 lakh cows, for all the 9 lakh cows, then I'll also wear shoes, he said. And if you also arrange an umbrella for each of these cows, then I'll also wear an umbrella. I'll also hold an umbrella. Means what was he saying? That my love for the cows is greater than the love I have for my own self. I don't even love my own self as much as I love the cows. So the cows were like, I don't even love my own self as much as I love the cows. So the cows were life and soul. Life and soul. So this way, growing Padmavati, she was trying to find fault. So this way, growing Padmavati, she was trying to find fault. Then Parikshit said, Rohini, she was very intelligent and she pretended not to listen to Padmavati's words. And she continued speaking. So Rohini Devi, she was thinking, who is this old lady? She's trying to disturb the situation. So we just ignored her. So then Rohini said, by destroying the demons, Krishna obtained Mathura, the capital of the Yadavas, and now he is enjoying the happiness as the king of kings. Oh Uddhava, Krishna defeated all the demigods, and the demigods also offer their obeisances to, so to speak. And now just see, he does not even remember the Brajavasis. So Rohini, she's telling Uddhava that Krishna now is the king of Dwaraka. So now he has forgotten the Brajavasis. Now he's thinking, I'm the king of kings. Even the demigods come and offer me pranams. So why should I remember the Brajavasis? Those simple villagers who have no intelligence, who have no good sense. Now I'm the king. So what use do I have for them? So then, when Rohini was speaking these words, then Rukmini, the most prominent queen of Krishna, she began to speak then. Then Rukmini Devi said, oh mother, why are you speaking these words? Krishna's heart is as soft as butter. So don't speak these words, don't be so cruel to him. No. Even in dreams, sometimes Krishna is calling out to the gopis. Rukmini is saying, even sometimes when he's sleeping on his bed, sometimes he's weeping so much, the pillow becomes wet. The entire bed becomes wet. And not to speak of calling out to the gopis, he's even calling out to the cows. He's saying, oh Shamali, oh Davali, oh Gange, oh Pishange, oh Mridangamukhi. He's even calling out to the cows in separation. And sometimes what does he do? He catches hold of my cloth and he pulls on it. He says, oh Radhe, oh Lalite, oh Vishakhe, why are you so angry at me? Don't be so angry at me, be pleased with me. And sometimes when he's still sleeping, he assumes his 3-4 bending form. Even when he's sleeping, he's like sleeping with his 3-4 bending form. Tripangalali form. So sometimes he says, oh Maya, give me butter. His mother Yashoda, oh please give me some butter. And sometimes he's saying, oh Radhe, oh Lalite. And he tags at my clothes, he tugs at my clothes while saying, oh Chandravali, what are you doing? And when he's sleeping, he wets his pillow with his streams of loving tears. Suddenly, sometimes he gets up from his bed and he begins to weep in a pathetic voice. All of us then submerged in an ocean of sorrow and lamentation. So then when we hear him weeping, when we hear Krishna weeping like this, in separation from the Brajavasis, we ourselves, our hearts break into many pieces. Even on this night, even last night, Krishna, he saw some dream and he became so restless that he started crying and he covered his lotus face with his uttariya. Even last night, Rukmini is saying, I saw him sleeping and he covered his face with a cloth. Just weeping. So Rukmini is saying, like, oh mother, you are saying he doesn't have any love for the Brajavasis, but what is this? All day and night he's only weeping from them, in separation from them. And now you see he's weeping so much, he's not even waking up from the bed. He's just lying down the whole time. He's not even waking up. So then, hearing these words, Satyabhama, she became a little jealous. No, so Satyabhama, she was thinking, why is Rukmini glorifying the Brajavasis? Especially why is she glorifying the gopis so much? So she became a little jealous. And she said, oh Rukmini, why are you saying that he only sees the Brajavasis in a dream? Even when he is awake, then what does he do? What is because remembering the gopis, even the maidservants of those gopis are more dear to him than us. So Satyabhama was telling Rukmini that what to speak of the gopis, even their manjaris, even their kinkaris, they are more dear to him than we ever were dear to him. Millions of times more dear to him than we are to him. Satyabhama said. So then Parikshit said, on hearing these words of the queens, Baldev Prabhu, the life and soul of all the Brajavasis, he began to speak angrily. So Baladev was there when he heard these words. And then Baladev said, oh young woman, we are talking about this distressful story of the Brajavasis. But still, Krishna, what is he doing? He's pretending that he's asleep, just to trick us. And Baladev became very angry. And he's saying all the way speaking all these most like sorrowful states of separation. Still you see Krishna, he's pretending that he's asleep. Just see how he is. He's displaying this, he's saying that I'm dreaming about the Rajvasis. Just see how he is. I remained in Braj for 2 months. No, Baladev Prabhu stayed there for 2 months and he enacted this Raslila with the gopis. But still, I could only please them by some fine words. Baladev told the Rajvasis, don't worry, I will bring Krishna back very soon. You just be happy. But still, although I knew that no one can please the Rajvasis other than Krishna. So I promised them and I made so many promises to the Rajvasis. I made hundreds of promises to them. But still, with great difficulty I returned to Dwaraka. The Rajvasis did not want me to leave Braj. But still anyhow I came back to Dwaraka. Baladev is saying. In spite of them not wanting me to leave. And after returning here, I told Krishna, oh my brother, go there at Braj, go to Vrindavan and protect the lives of the Rajvasis. Baladev is telling Krishna, go there, protect them. And then sometimes Krishna would say, all right, I will go. I shall go, he's saying. But still, what is he doing? This is not the intention of his heart. Although by his mouth, by his words he's saying, I will go, still in his heart, he has no intention of going to Braj. He has no intention of going to Vrindavan. And after hearing this, Krishna quickly got up from his bed. And then he began crying loudly. And he came out of his room. So Krishna was like pretending, he was sleeping, like this. He was weeping. And as soon as Baladev spoke these words, he removed his cloth and he started crying loudly. And he came out of his room. And then Krishna, there when he was like weeping continuously, then he told Uddhav, now my heart has been broken. He said, actually my heart is made from a thunderbolt, he said. My heart is not melting because it's been made from a thunderbolt. Krishna himself is admitting that why I don't go to Braj. Since I was a child, the Rajvasis, they always raised me. But still I forgot their prema of theirs. What to speak of doing good to them? I became cruel. And I gave so much distress to those Rajvasis who were so tender. Krishna said, I gave so much pain to those Rajvasis. I'm so cruel. So he said, oh Uddhav, you know everything. What should I do now? Tell me what I should do. So then Devaki, she spoke. And then she said, it's getting late now. So we'll stop here. So then we'll begin from tomorrow. We'll listen to what Devaki says. This is like a very beautiful topic. So tomorrow we'll listen to this Leela, what Devaki spoke to Krishna. We'll stop here. So while listening to these moods of the Rajvasis and while speaking about them, Gurudev would be weeping so much. I remember Gurudev, he spoke about this katha in 2002 in Mathura, or I think in Rup Sanatan Gaudiya. And when he was speaking about all these leaders, he was weeping the whole time. For us, these are only words. These pastimes are only words. Something we experience in our hearts. Some little transformation. But Gurudev, as he's speaking more and more, just weeping, weeping, weeping. The whole time he was speaking, he was just wiping the tears of his eyes like this was Uttari. The whole time, you can see that video. The whole time he has these glasses, he just removed his glasses and he's wiping his tears. This is what Gurudev came to give to this world. These moods of the Rajvasis. So how fortunate we are to be under his shelter. Shelter of his dear moods.
Which part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita is
This is the first volume.
which chapter?
This is chapter, this is the last chapter. This is the last one. This is the chapter that speaks about Navrindavan. So we'll read tomorrow. Gradually we'll read about all these leaders tomorrow. So we'll stop here. Shri Brihad Bhagavatamrita ki jai. Baladev Prabhu Rasyatra ki jai. Shri Shyamananda Prabhu Hamsivana Thakura Vibhavtiti ki jai. Shri Bhaktivedanta Bhakti Maharaj Vibhavtiti ki jai. Shri Hanuman Vibhavtiti ki jai. Anant Koti Krishna Vindagi jai. Shri Gurudev Prabhudev Prabhupada Bhakti Prabhupada ki jai. Thai Gaur Premanande Gaur Pancha Kalpataru Vishra Tanam Bhavani